Phil Twyford.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm conscious that I'm standing between the House and the end of the sitting week, but I feel like I should put on record at the conclusion of this debate the view of the opposition on Part 3 of this building budget measures, Miscellaneous Fiscal Matters Bill, sir, which contains the centrepiece of this government's offering to the public of New Zealand in its rather haphazard and inadequate response to the housing crisis. Now, if you were a government that wanted to do something about the housing crisis, there are a number of options open to you. You could do something about taxing speculators, for example, for instance, by a capital gains tax. You could, as Andrew Williams was saying, put a stop to foreign speculators bidding up the price of houses in Auckland. You might like to consider building large numbers of affordable homes and selling them to first home buyers. That would address the supply shortage that really lies at the heart of the skyrocketing house prices. You might like to build more state houses because people right at the bottom end are struggling under this housing crisis. You could master plan ambitious new urban development projects, revitalise town centres and invest in transport infrastructure. You could do all of those things that would make a huge difference to the housing crisis that we have now. But if you're a government who doesn't care for those kind of bold gestures, if you're a government that prefers to tinker around the edges, you prefer the photo op and the insignificant gesture, then there are a number of other options that are open to you. One of those might be trying to do something about building and construction costs. If you were serious about tackling construction costs, you might, for example, hold a Commerce Commission inquiry into the lack of competition in the building supplies industry. You might, for instance, use a government-backed building program to build at scale, thereby allowing off-site manufacturing and prefabricated construction to drive down the cost of housing. As a recent industry group estimated, it could knock off $32,000 off the cost of a new house. But if you were determined to look at building and construction materials and what they add to the cost of a new home, and you'd read the Productivity Commission report that said that New Zealanders are paying an extra $20,000 per newly constructed house because of higher prices in this country, then what would you do about that? Well, sir, if you were serious, you would address the anti-competitive practices and the lack of competition in the building and construction industry. But if you just wanted to tinker around the edges, sir, and look as if you were doing something, then you might look at a measure contained in this bill, in Part 3 of this bill, which is to temporarily suspend anti-dumping duties and tariffs for certain building materials. This is the government of the insignificant gesture. Nick Smith is the Minister of the photo op. And the credibility of the housing initiatives in this budget really sum up how pathetic this government's record has been on housing. They've got nothing after a year of running around doing photo opportunities, talking up the problem, blaming councils, blaming the banks, blaming the construction industry. They've run out of scapegoats and other people to blame. All they've got is really a lame housing accord with the Auckland Council, which on their own numbers will deliver only 5,500 new houses in the special housing areas over 3 years. That's all they've got. And this pathetic little gesture in this bill that they claim by some calculation on the back of a cigarette packet that it might save $3,500 off the cost of a new house, with no evidence brought to this House to justify those calculations, no assurance that that saving wouldn't be swallowed up by builders and developers. This is all they've got, and it's a very sad thing for New Zealand.
The question is that the check duty repeal bill be now read a third time. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Check duty repeal bill, third reading.
The question is that the Climate Change Response Unit Restriction Amendment Bill be now read a third time. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. A party vote has been asked for. I ask the clerk to conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
30 votes opposed.
Green Party.
8 votes in favour.
New Zealand First.
7 votes opposed.
Maori Party.
2 in favour.
Mana.
1 vote in favour.
Act New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United
1
Future.
in favour.
Brendan Horan. Any other votes?
The ayes are 72, the noes are 37. The bill will be read a third time.
Climate Change Response Unit Restriction Amendment Bill, third reading.
The question is that the Dumping and Countervailing Duties Amendment Bill be now read a third time. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. No. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. A party vote has been called for. I ask the clerk to conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
30 votes in favour.
Green Party.
7 votes opposed.
New Zealand First.
7 votes opposed.
Maori Party.
2 in favour.
Mana.
1 vote opposed.
Act New Zealand.
1 in favour.
United Future.
1 in favour.
Brendan Horan. Any other votes?
The ayes are 93, the noes are 15. The bill will be read a third time. Honourable Members, the House...
Dumping and Countervailing Duties Amendment Bill, third reading.
Honourable Members, the House stands adjourned until 2 p.m. Tuesday 20 May 2014.